All right, let me see here. Let me make sure I'm following all the players. All right, so I think that should be everyone. So this is One Last Breath against Chess Jawa. So, One Last Breath. This is the board 2 for Purdue. So this is the A team of Purdue against the B team of UChicago. Both very strong teams, both undefeated so far in D2. So they have the best performance out of any Division 2 team. And this match will make one team lose for the first time so far this season. But since it's only going to be their first loss, they will move to the losers bracket, where they will compete later on for a chance to come back and win the tournament. So yeah, both these teams have a good chance at winning the division overall. So it's going to be a close match. Yeah, I think the winner of this will move on to the finals. So yeah, that sounds right. It's a big matchup. Let's see. I think we might have a D2 command for it. Yep, there we go. So yeah, you can check out the bracket there. So yeah, we got this dark square bishop with the knight. So now blacks just got that bishop pair against the pair of knights. All right, so what's going on here? They can maybe bring this knight back, or try to attack the queen somehow. We have this this passed pawn here for white. We just dropped our a2 pawn. I don't know if it was very easily defended. Maybe just like a queen move could have been sufficient, but anyways, now black's got 2-pawn advantage. They are both 2200. Actually, no, sorry. One Last Breath 2300. This is, I believe, Jonathan Rosenthal from Purdue. This Chess Jawa, this is board 3 for UChicago, Steven Eisenhower. So both very strong players. These are very strong D2 teams. Like I said, the best so far throughout the division. Let's look at one of my favorite usernames here, Nonchalant en Passant. This is the board 3 for Purdue's A team against the board 2 for UChicago. Quite the mouthful of a name. Vasileos Papasimakopoulos. Hope I'm not gonna butcher that. Okay, so let's see. We've already got a result here. My goodness. What just happened here? For our poor chess Jawa here, just completely missed this bishop. Unbelievable. Queen a4, snagged that queen right off the board immediately. One last breath. FIDE master. Board 2 for Purdue. Getting that first point on the board. So let's see here. Chess Jawa goes down. That's an early game. Let's move on. This is Fennel Shah, the board 1 for Purdue against the board 4 for UChicago. Micro Bear. So let's see how this game's going. So far, black unable to castle. This is a very annoying bishop, but I mean, look at this king. Normally, you'd like to see him on g1, but this king is not having any of it. This queen completely looking into this king side. So very interesting king positions here. Definitely think black is a little more comfortable on e8 than this king is on g3. Maybe queen check, preventing the king from getting to g2, but at the same time you allow the king to get back to f2. So this queen and knight combo is very strong in these dark squares. If the king were to step into this discovery, yeah, I mean, you'd have discover double checks and maybe even checkmate at some point. But anyways, this king does find its way to g2. If we give another check along the diagonal, king comes back to g1. So kind of interesting. Maybe try to infiltrate the queen here, but then rook from the h file will go to f1, giving the king another square and also kicking this queen away. So alright, so we do see queen to c7. Oh, okay, so the queen's offering some lateral support here, but this is just going to lose a pawn. I think the king should probably just gone back to g1, to be fair. And move like knight g3 would be kind of annoying. If you want to save the rook, you got to play rook to g2. So yeah, this pawn's going to fall with check, and black has introduced another attacking piece into the equation. That's actually just, well, no, the rook now is pinning the knight. I mean, the bishop to the king, but doesn't matter because the point is that this pawn was falling with check, and now so does the bishop. So don't even need the bishop to guard because the queen is now there. Came in with check, and this is just game over. Game over. Very low on the clock as well. So it looks like Purdue's going to come off to a hot start here. Let's look at, this is unknown chess variable, the board 4 for Purdue against Sakai is the limit. I love the username. The player is Hibiki Sakai. So this is board 1 for UChicago B team. Let's see how they can handle this unknown chess variable. Let's see what's going on here. So Sakai is low on the clock. Looks like this pawn's under heavy fire, and this king and queen do not want to be lined up on the same diagonal as the bishop. So king moves over. We can give a check though, which would be really strong actually. Probably forcing the king back over, and then knight takes. Should be crushing. Yeah, and if you block the check with the queen, you're gonna lose the bishop. So yeah, we get a resignation here actually. So my goodness, the board 4 unknown chess variable for Purdue. Super strong board 4, taking down their board 1. Let's see, Micro Bear here, still playing for UChicago. Only 16 seconds left. Looks like this king has encountered some checks. So let's see. So we play c5, hoping to get the king into some sort of safety, blocking off this bishop. And bishop takes, allowing the rook to enter to c1. But now we have a check, a couple checks, repetition, maybe go for a draw. So we saw that Purdue's fourth board could beat UChicago's board 1. Here we're seeing the king get a little adventurous, going over to c8 here, subjecting itself to a bunch of these checks. Okay, finally just bringing the bishop back to f2. And now I think black's going to be able to find some checks. And now this rook is free to enter the game. I think black is definitely favored here, but no time. Very low on the clock. Going for some queen trades, but now the rook comes in. And what's going to happen here? Check. Block with the queen, maybe? No. So, yeah, just trying to pin this knight. Both sides now super low on the clock. There's some coordination here between these pieces. So, just definitely trying to go for the queen trade. Fennel is up a piece here, a whole knight. And, alright, going for check. Probably just pawn push. Yep. And now queen's going to have to, yeah, stay on this H file to protect. If you don't want to lose a piece. Yeah, but black's going to come in pretty strong. Just queen takes or bishop takes. Hoping for king takes and then rook takes, but f6 was too covered. And now you're going to be able to force some... Yeah, that's opening up way too many checks there. Now you got to block with a rook. And now knight e4 should be lights out. Mate threat, unstoppable. And there it is, resignation. So Purdue off to a hot start. I believe that was... Wait, hold on. What happened in this game? Nonchalant en passant with a loss to Salos. So UChicago did get a point on the board. So 3-1 start here for Purdue. So let's see if UChicago can bounce back. Alright, so here we go. Chess Jawa against board 1 from Purdue. Fennel Shah. The name might be Finney. I'm not too sure. Oh. No, alright. Well, anyways. He got a win there. That was actually kind of close. It was close to a perpetual. So, you know, these board 4s showing a good fight against the board 1. And we'll see if Sakai can get a comeback after that loss to unknown chess variable. So let's check out Sakai's game, actually. Here we have Sakai with white now. Probably preparing b4 with this last move. Rook to b1. Both sides castled. We do see b4. Bishop back to b6. And just getting this pawn storm going here on the queen side for white. Grabbing some space on this queen side. Black punching back, a5. And white just responding a simple a3. So if capture on b4, then pawn takes back. And yeah, maybe at some point white can prepare a c5 pawn push. Try to really block out this bishop from the game. So we do see queen to c2, potentially preparing c5, played now. So white ignoring any pawn pushes on the king side for now. And yeah, this bishop's being pushed back. This could be a free pawn, but really you don't want to take, because then that allows black to take back on the c file and open this up. Now this is an interesting decision. f3, opening up this diagonal for black. This king could be susceptible to certain checks, discover checks. So first grabbing with b4, a takes b4, and now bishop comes in, hitting this knight. It is hanging. The knight is also pinned to the rook. We see a knight move, perhaps. Defend laterally with the queen, but you also need the queen to guard c5. So I like knight to b3, guarding c5 and e2 at the same time. So what's black to do here? You definitely don't want to play a move like b6, trying to attack c5 again, because then just the simple c6 response, and this bishop is going to be out of the game. And yeah, you don't necessarily want to trade either, because that definitely helps white with the pawns coming in. So white's definitely got the clamp here, trying to fight back after that round 1 loss to board 4. So here, nonchalant en passant, board 3, the only player for Purdue not to get a point. So this would be a really strong win for Peyton here. But, you know, having to play passively so far, bringing the knight back to c8, not the best square for the knight, but also really not a lot of options overall. White's definitely the one taking all the space on the board. You've got a very dominant pawn structure here in the middle. So here, just lining up the rook with the queen. If this pawn were to ever grab on c5, you would be opening up this d-file even further. I think eventually Sakai will want to move the king off this diagonal and potentially free up the option of moving the c-pawn at some point. I think black would be wise to maybe try to shift play over to the king side, even though it's not going to be easy. But bringing the queen in, at least developing the queen somewhere on this diagonal, could be somewhat beneficial. It's just not a lot of space for black to work with, though. We do see queen f6 played, potentially planning on opening up this f-file. And yeah, maybe this knight comes back to e7. So this knight move, punching the bishop, but also blocking the queen from c5. Not too big of a deal for the time being. It looks like maybe this bishop is going to find a way to contest this bishop on this nice diagonal. So yeah, the position's pretty closed, which means these bishops are going to have a hard time trying to get involved. But slowly but surely, white can rearrange this bishop over to the king side and potentially trade off this this bishop that's pointing straight at the king. White noise, good to see you. How have you been? Just I was requested by Purdue to record this, so thought I'd do them some commentary. But also, you know, for UChicago. Like I said, UChicago is one of the strongest B teams. So we just saw UCLA's B team had a good game, or a good match against Arizona. So this is another example of a B team trying to take on an A team. So we do finally see the exchange on c5. Freeing up the d6 square, the knight hops in, taking advantage of this pin for the time being. And definitely looking at some options here for the knight. Options that weren't available previously. So I do like this trade so far. Yeah, white noise? If I had the time, if only. Maybe next season. Although next season there's going to be even more. There are like 50 some odd teams So, okay, the threat is to take the bishop and then take the knight. So rook for 2 pieces. Knight's hopping in here, attacking this bishop. If the bishop were to move back, then knight to e3 is a very juicy square. Forking the queen and rook. I don't even know if you take the rook because of how strong the knight could potentially be on e3. So very, very nice sequence of moves here from Nonchalant en passant. Board 3 for Purdue. You know, finding squares when their position is so cramped. Really taking advantage of this. Really taking advantage of everything that they have in this position so far. Okay, so maybe... I'm not sure what's going on here. Alright, so rook's coming over, and instead we are grabbing the bishop. So, we would love to get this bishop into e3 somehow. But unfortunately, I think there are enough knights around that can kick this bishop out if it were to arrive on this square. So we had that knight takes bishop. Might be a little early, but yeah, maybe. Yeah, he's very low here on the clock. Hi, Face Chess. Good to see you. Alright, so the knight's coming back. I would like to see this queen, or maybe even the bishop, try to get on this diagonal against the king. Looks like the rooks are going to double up on the a-file. I don't know if black should have, you know, played so quickly here. Guess the threat is to win a pawn, but I mean, now this bishop's pinned. How do you defend? You got to bring a knight back somehow. This does not look good at all. Because now you just need some support on b5. Maybe just a simple queen move. And try to land a knight to b5 or remove this bishop somehow. What's going on here? So now adding some defense to g3, I suppose. But black has this isolated e-pawn now. And yeah, this whole situation is just one big knot for black on the queen side, and the queen's gonna inch her way in, add some more fuel to the fire. Okay, just grabbing on e5, also defending on g3. You could take with the queen. Yeah, and you're gonna have to keep the queens on as black. 20 seconds now. So what's going on? Yeah, this is just complete lockdown of the queen side. There goes another pawn. You could bring the queen back if you wanted to. Oh, there goes a whole piece. So there goes the bishop, and Sakai with the first point. Bounce back win from their first round. And Nonchalant en passant 0 for 2. Let's look at, here we see again, board 1 for Purdue in time crunch. You got Chess Jawa up a piece. You just saved that bishop. Now, I don't know what exactly they can try to go for, but this king position is really sad for black. But I'm totally going to take the piece. Piece for a pawn in this endgame. Question is, how exactly is white going to make progress? I mean, you can keep all these pieces on light squares, but, you know, he's barely got any time left. The king's going to have to move eventually, and now this king's going to try its best to get into the game. And you can always push a pawn here, get an outside passer. So, let's see. Yeah, and that frees up the f6 square now. It's just a matter of time before white is going to have to give something up, and black's going to be able to win this. So, board 1s have been shown to lose games here so far. Yeah, and that pawn's going to fall as well. Really well done here by Chess Jawa. So, Steven, board 3, taking down the board 1 of Purdue. So, UChicago bouncing back, getting some points. So let's look at, I think this was unknown chess variable against the board 2 for UChicago. So they even got a point. Let's see how this one ended real fast. Oh, and yeah, everything's gonna fall here. So yeah, white with a couple quick punches, and let's see, that's 2 points now. So they are flawless, 2-0 so far, and we've got, oh, this match just ended. It just meant, okay, so hold on, what did we miss? Queen check. Oh, and there goes a rook. So yeah, lining up with the king. Discovery, and yeah, this is a much safer king for white here. So one last breath gets the win there. That was Jonathan Rosenthal. So also 2-0. So the board 2 is flawless so far. UChicago, let's see. I think I might have missed the game. Let's see, one last breath. Or did I count him twice? I don't think so. This was the game we just looked at. One last breath against Micro Bear. Oh, Sakai won, right? Sakai? Yeah, Sakai is the limit. So I think they tied it all up at 4. So looks like Purdue had the hot start at 3-1. UChicago bounces back, answers with the same score, 3-1, ties it up at 4 each. So now we're going into round 3 all evened up. So whoever gets 8.5 points wins. Both teams at 4 here. Pretty even. Let's look at how Chess Jawa took down Purdue's board 1 here. Let's look at this game. So e4, e5. We have King's Gambit declined. And this is an interesting capture on e5 from white. I think queen comes up, and this should be pretty strong, no? Threatening checkmate and the piece. I guess maybe in the end you can get some sort of fork. This is really interesting. So saving all the pieces. Black is just up a whole piece. So looks like white was just wow, this is really interesting. I feel like in this position, but the queen recaptures with check. Interesting. So that's just a win of a pawn for white, interestingly. But yeah, black just won that piece in the beginning, trades queens off, enters this, bishop up endgame. Really strong, use of that bishop on the dark squares, maneuvering and denying entrance of the rooks. So really well done there by Chess Jawa, taking down board 1. So both board 1s have been shown to lose games, and board 2s, on the other hand, are flawless so far. Yeah, this is going to come down, to the last round. Definitely a close match, so far at least. I think Purdue might still be favored. It is the A team. But, UChicago definitely hanging in there. So let's see what's going on here. This is board 3 against board 4. No. Yeah, actually, yeah, that's right. Okay, board 3 for Purdue against board 4 for UChicago. Trading off bishops here. So all round 3 games have started. Alright, so white has not yet castled. Keeping options open, can castle on either side. It looks like if you go queen side, you're going to be hit with the pawn storm on the queen side. But you know, white has pushed h4, so maybe white wants a pawn storm of their own. Although it looks like black has a pretty strong grip over the light squares so far on the king side. But this king still might be safer on the king side, so definitely keeping options open so far. Not committing just yet. All right, so white comes back, hits the bishop, and I'm pretty confident we're gonna see some pawn pushes on the king side here. This to me looks like they want this bishop gone. They want to go queen side, and they want to start a pawn storm of their own on the king side by micro bear. So he's got a plan here. All right, so ignoring this bishop being under attack from the knight, instead trying to open things up on the queen side. So looks like white can respond here with f3 and then g4 and h5. And meanwhile, black's just trying to say, like, I want to open things up on this king side here. So queen stepping up would be a mistake, as you would get pinned. And now we can see h5, h6 perhaps. Oh, capturing first. Pawn takes. Now we see h5. The knight comes back. Now we see h6. So g6 might be an option here. Getting pretty weak on the dark squares though. Queen could come in, attacking f6. And you know, white still has the luxury castling either side, pushing c4 here, so definitely weakening the queen side pawn structure. But you know, so far the position's pretty closed, and black doesn't have any bishops, so it looks like the attack shouldn't be too fast for black. Although now if you castle, you can double up on this b file, threaten checkmate. So instead, you know, white just responds with b3. Black saying, finally, you're giving me some counterplay. I'm going to push a4, try to open things up on the queen side. And white says, well, you know what? Now is the time, I think, to get the king out of the middle and go king side. So we see a king side castle. We could potentially play knight to h5 because this pawn is pinned. Knight h5 would threaten not only to win a pawn, but to fork the king, the queen and the rook. So not yet played, just bringing the rook over. d8. I think I like this knight h5 idea. Probably force the king over to the h file. Alright, so rook from f to d1. So no more fork ideas, but you know, this still is a hanging pawn if you want to take advantage of this queen pinning the pawn to the king. Let's look over at Chess Jawa's game. He's spent 1 second of his clock and unknown chess variable here in a very deep think. 125 left on their clock. Very nice diagonal for the bishop. Both sides with the bishop pair, but it looks like white has the healthier pawn structure. Black is missing a b pawn. And this bishop hitting the rook. Intermezzo move. Bishop check first, lining the king up with the rook on the b file. And now we should probably move this rook somewhere. Maybe b7 or b6. Instead, pinning the bishop to the rook. So now we just got to move this bishop out somewhere, and now this bishop's unpinned. Chess Jawa playing really fast. Where to now? Alright, so now this bishop taking this diagonal. This game could likely become a draw if you trade off the bishops, but you know, I think white's clearly favored here, at least if not on the board, then on the clock. So Chess Jawa trying to get back-to-back wins. Moving the rooks over, trying to pry this king side open. Well, I guess the queen side now, but yeah, these bishops doing a good job of limiting the squares that these rooks can go to. So even though both sides have the bishop pair, definitely white is favored to the much better control. I wonder now with this a-pawn move if black is considering some sort of sacrifice, but I don't think it works out, especially already being down a pawn. So yeah, just trying to trade off bishops. And we'll see if the c-pawn also gets into the attack. I think c5, c4 is a good idea for black. No, this drops c6. I would take c6. Although I guess bishop to d7 and you lose a5. But you know, you could try to win a4 for white, but I think white could try to win a5. If you take bishop here, you play here. Yep, so they Chess Jawa took. Oh, and we see the sec. Oh, that's mate. That's mate. Are you kidding me? Oh my god, he played that so fast. He just needed king to a2 and then check, and then you go to a1. Oh my goodness, Chess Jawa didn't even use a minute on the clock. Bishop sacrifice, 16 seconds left, and blundering mate in 1. Huge win for black here, especially with such low time on the clock. Oh my goodness, Chess Jawa was playing too fast there. All right, well, that is a win for Unknown Chess Variable, who is the 4th board for Purdue. So big point here for Purdue to get the go-ahead point. Let's look at the board 1 here for UChicago, Sakai, against board 2 for Purdue. And it looks like he's very stressed on the clock. Only 28 seconds to about 2 minutes from one last breath here. UChicago is going to have to bounce back after that loss to their board 4. So white's trying to look for something here to break through. Opening up on the queen side, both players electing the castle king side, and looks like we've got this isolated d-pawn for black that white's going to try to pile up on. So yeah, black's just putting a lot of pieces towards this defense. Maybe move like knight to b5, attacking another backwards pawn and the queen. So the queen would have to step back somehow. Alright, so we remove the knight that was defending. Yeah, white just slowly but surely opening up this queen side, denying the queen or the bishop trade. Let's see. Queen coming in? No. Is the rook gonna enter? One last breath. All the time in the world here. Ibrahim, you're gonna have to keep it in English, please. Thank you. Alright, so what's going on here? $20 seconds for Sakai. Definitely targeting 2 weaknesses. Looks like we have some sacrifices lined up here. Knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, and this bishop could fall. You could play king over. Okay, now hitting the queen. Dropping that d5 pawn. So finally gobbling that up. Attacking the knight. Defending the knight. Let's see, doubling up on the c file. We're going to bring the rook over to c7. Nope, the knight says no entrance for you. See, the bishop's going to come in now. This could be hanging. Let's see, what's going to happen? Maybe bishop up. Yeah, bishop up. And, okay, so very strong knight. Now, are we going to see rook to c7? I like rook c7 a lot, now that this knight is left. No, bring the rook back. Shoot. Sakai, barely any time left, but evening up with one last breath. Only 25 seconds for him as well. Let's see, just constantly targeting this. Now that this b pawn is pushed, we have this safe spot on c4. Lots of coordination. You can get 2 pieces for the rook here. The rook takes. Now the knight's just hitting. Now we can't sacrifice here anymore. You gotta find moves somehow. It's much easier to play for white here, definitely. And no, rook c7. I would want to play rook c7. Rook takes. There's also this. Get 2 points for that, and if queen takes, then f7 falls. I think white has had a lot of opportunities to punish, but has not capitalized. So what's going on? I think the bishop should come back, especially now. Yeah, hitting that rook. And now you take this, hitting the rook. That's a free rook. And this should be game over. Sakai going down. Free piece. Yeah, one last breath. Consistent pressure being applied. And, looks like we got all the games finished there. So board 4 for Chicago, taking down board 3. Nonchalant en passant, not having the best tournament. Let's see. So that's a point for Micro Bear. We just saw one last breath. So Jonathan Rosenthal going the perfect 3-0. Taking down Sakai's the limit. That was a big game that we just saw here. One last breath. Really well played. And then, Purdue board 1 getting a big win over the board 2 for UChicago. So Vasilios losing their first game. And that's a big round, because now going into the 4th and final round, Purdue only needs 1.5 points to clinch the match. So, yeah, UChicago did a good job to answer, respond back, tie things up after 2. But Purdue punching back, taking that lead, that crucial lead going into round 4, the final round. And UChicago is going to have to find something here if they're going to want to tie up this match. They're going to need to win at least 3. So, looks like their board 2 is definitely favored for Purdue, beating the board 1 for UChicago. So let's see. I think Chess Jawa is definitely gonna have to win their game. Try to take down Nonchalant en passant, who's 0-3 so far. We'll see if Peyton can get on the board at least with a draw. That was definitely very unfortunate for Chess Jawa in this game to give up blunder mate in 1. I mean, grabbing that pawn and then getting the bishop sacrificed. I mean, maybe it was a perpetual. Maybe it was something Chess Jawa shouldn't have given up, but definitely not blundering, mate in 1 with over 4 minutes left on your clock. That was huge. So we'll see. We'll see if UChicago can bounce back. And yeah, again, this isn't an elimination match because both teams have gone 3-0 so far to get here. So, both teams have done really well so far. No matter who loses, they will be coming back and they will still be playing. All right, so this is the board 4 matchup. Unknown chess variable, definitely much higher rated board 4 for the Purdue team. Micro Bear here, board 4 for UChicago. He's gotten a point. As unknown chess variable's gotten 2 points so far against the higher boards from UChicago's team. So if Micro Bear can win this match, they can tie the score between the board 4s. Let's look at Chess Jawa. Chess Jawa is playing well. He just gave up that unfortunate mate in 1 in the last game. So we'll see if he bounces back here. Already double pawns on the king side. So it looks like if given the chance, black can try to castle long here. Chess Jawa up a pawn though. Let's see. So it looks like white just gave up a pawn in the beginning. Ooh, that's a big check. Rook over. Yeah, black's gonna try to trade down in this position because this is a big queen check. King's gonna be stuck in the middle of the board for the rest of the game. Maybe try to pile up on this f pawn. Lift a rook, swing a second rook over to the f file. Okay, just taking away d file. But yeah, queen to e8, I completely agree with. Just trying to get these queens off before any more damage happens. And now we see a pressure applied here to f6. Bring the queen in. Don't want to hang h7. But yeah, connecting rooks, black's playing this pretty well. Probably rook over. I mean, at least you can, develop with a mate threat would be pretty nice. Rook takes f6. What's with rook takes f6? Then queen takes. Or are you saying earlier could that have been played? In this position? Yeah, maybe, actually. After queen g6. Really? After this, rook takes. I don't really see it. Rook takes, queen takes. Oh. Queen takes and you have rook check. Right? But that is two rooks for the queen. I liked the idea of taking on f6 before queen to e8. Probably. Right here. Looked nice. Because I don't know, it just looked nice to me. Queen check here, and then king steps over, right? And then, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe not. But definitely a lively position here. Black trying their best. You can take a pawn, but then rook to g7 is really strong. You'd have to bring the queen all the way back to h3. Instead, just trading off queens here. So that definitely favors Chess Jawa. And Chess Jawa again playing lightning fast. Less than 50 seconds used. So we'll see here. Rerouting the F file. Might eventually see c3 from white, just if the knight hops in. So yeah, white's going to try to prevent any f5 break and keep these pawns doubled. Where's this knight want to go? Maybe we move this c-pawn? No. Bring the knight in here. Oh, maybe try to attack e4. How do you defend e4? King n, probably. Well, king f3 can't be played now. So how exactly are you protecting e4? I think e4 is just going to be lost. Well, Chess Jawa, again, playing super fast, and this pawn is going to be falling, and now these pawns will be unleashed. They will be pushing through, and I think black should be winning here. White failed to see this e4 pawn that's isolated, and it's gonna be falling soon. So I don't think white can win a pawn back somehow, which is unfortunate. Nonchalant en passant might just go 0-4 on the day, but his team might not need it. He might just be carried. Let's see here. This is the matchup between the board ones. So board 1 for Purdue, 2 out of 3 so far. Mr. Sakai here. Sakai's limit. Love that username. I'll keep saying it. If he wins here, the board 1s will be evened up at 2. So I said the same thing about the board 4s here. So unknown chess variable and micro bear. Let's see what's going on here. So trading down a lot. Looks like white's definitely favored. We've got, the 3 pawns for the piece. I mean, technically it's even in material, but we could play here if we wanted to. We would see bishop goes back, try to trade everything down, but I don't know. Would you rather have the piece or the 3 pawns? Well, one thing's for sure, Micro Bear definitely has the time advantage, so over double the clock time. Going for a fork. Going for the rook trade. One thing's for sure, I think keeping on some material is good for white. Trading down is good for black, because if it's just the knight alone, let's say you take the knight and the bishop takes, the bishop's going to be able to play on this queen side and get a passed pawn going for black, and it's going to be a lot tougher for this king to play on both sides of the board. So looks like maybe black's going to try to trade off the bishops and play up with the knight. So definitely, if white wants any chance, first and foremost, they need to play faster, because it's going to be tough playing down all this time. But yeah, probably just knight here, go for this pawn maybe, and then push. Well, maybe the knight gets trapped. Hold up. Can you play here? Dude, I would have played here. Bishop f2. This could be the chance that white needs. No, I guess f6 could be played. But yeah, bring this king over. There's so little time. But yeah, I don't know if I liked knight f3. Definitely gives white a lot of chances to come back here. Although this pawn does hang. Where does this knight go now? Here? And then bishop here. Well, really, here to here would be smoother because you're holding on to this. Yeah, looks like black is now finally in a deep think here. Micro bear. Oh, can you get to? Okay, this was a good time investment to find because I was not thinking of h2. And now I would take b4. No, take b4. Totally take b4. And now I'll bring the king back. Oh, no, just grabbing more pawns. Oh my goodness. I think Micro Bear should win this. Knight here, and then f5, and this knight saved. f5. Oh, but then en passant. Oh, but the knight takes. Okay. Wow, that was not a move I was expecting at all. This could just be a draw now. Micro Bear, what's wrong with f5? What's wrong with f5? f5, en passant, and then you take. Oh my god, is black gonna win this still? No, this should be a draw. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, Chess Jawa did get the point. Let's look over at the board ones here. So Sakai is definitely gonna try to even up the board fours here. Let's see, Mr. Shah up a pawn. So definitely favored. Black a little bit behind in development. Let's give the point to Chess Jawa. Okay, so Sakai here definitely bringing some pressure back. The knight can take here. Okay, losing another pawn. Both sides under 15 seconds. Oh, bishop check. Looks good to me at least. Going for... Is that a free queen? What? Oh, no. No, Sky. Oh, that was a big blunder there. Oh, my goodness. Lots of good options for white. Queen to a4, not one of them. I think that was the second time in this match we've seen that. Unbelievable. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for UChicago. What other games left here? Unknown chess variable, no time left. A pawn was lost. I mean, I feel like you could trade down here, and yeah, that should just about do it. Like king over. Okay, you're in time to defend, and yeah, this pawn's queening. All right, well, Micro Bear did well here. So, unfortunately, the sky fell for UChicago, and Purdue, oh geez. Purdue was able to get the win there. Micro Bear won this one, right? Let's look at the last game. Wait. Oh my god, did UChicago win this? Wow, the first loss for Purdue on board 2 is a big one, because that was enough to tie the match. Both board 2s tied it up at 3. Dude, if Sakai had won that board 1 match, UChicago would have had the sweep for the comeback win. Wow. Wow, so it's tied up at 8 here, and I think they're going to go to tiebreakers. Look at this. Fennell, board 1 for Purdue, the only player to get a win in that round. Securing the draw. This huge queen blunder. If UChicago doesn't win in the tie breaks, they're gonna look back at this and kick themselves. Unbelievable. What happens now? You guys go to tie breaks. So you repeat the round 4 matchup, but you switch colors and you play a 3-0 game instead of 5-2. Yeah, he did white noise. It was a Botez gambit. Man, right here. So yeah, it's tied 8-8. What an intense comeback. I mean, yeah, it's definitely making for some good entertainment. You both had like no time left. Well, Chess Jawa also blundered mate in 1 in the last game. Well, his second to last game. That was another instance. Any change of points, I mean, even if someone got a draw, that would change the effect. But now, we're going to OT. Yes, there is a tiebreak match. It's 3-0. You have to repeat round 4, but switch colors. So same matchup, board 1 versus board 1, board 2 versus board 2, etc. But you play a 3-0 game instead of 5-2. And you switch the colors. So here, board 1 for Purdue had black. Now board 1 will have white for Purdue. And the games are 3-0 instead of 5-2. So really big comeback. I mean, this game has been very back and forth since round 1. I mean, round 1 Purdue, the hot start 3-1. UChicago answers back. Round 3 Purdue again taking the big lead. And UChicago bouncing back. So both times it's all been 3-1 in favor of one team. So here we go, first round of tie breaks. We got the board 4s here. We'll see if Unknown Chess Variable can get some revenge on Micro Bear. 3-0 here, no increment. Yes, Shaw, there's a tiebreak. It's 3-0. Rematch of round 4. So you play the same opponent you did in round 4. So your board 1, you would play the board 1 for UChicago, except you switch colors. So you were black, now you're going to be white. And instead of a 5-2 time control, it's 3-0. 3 minutes, no increment. So here we got the board 4s that started their game. We've got some pawn expansion here on the king side for white. Still castling king side. Alright, so we move a6, so now this rook is freed up without hanging this a7 pawn. b3, interesting move. Rook c8, hitting this knight, only protected now by the bishop after this b3 move. So we'll see if black can make white pay for this. See, we could see like a knight move perhaps. Trying to work on this diagonal. So what's going on here? There's a couple pawn pushes white has to at least consider. Both sides pretty even on the clock. What's the idea? You definitely can't take. Maybe white needs to get off this diagonal somehow. Okay, lifting the rook, maybe providing some extra defense over c2. Also, you know, maybe shielding this king from any potential checks on this diagonal at some point. Interesting. Alright, so bishop comes back. So again, there's a lot of pawn pushes that white has, and this could be a preemptive retreat. So takes. This is an open diagonal now. And yeah, if you take, the queen's pretty happy to take back. Very, very centralized square on d4. In fact, the queen can just come here now with check. So yeah, probably just king back. And now, maybe try to come in queen to c3 and double up the rooks on the c file. Could be one idea for black. But yeah, white would love to get this like c4 pawn break in, I think. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw queen c3. Instead, going queen to c5, trying to get these queens off. I think take back with the pawn, probably. But we're still going to see this c4, I believe. Alright, so now if c4, we can double up on the c file. So this also works. e7 is hanging. Interesting. Here we see c4. Although the pawn was pinned, I don't know if I would have been so fast to take. Now, the bishop tries to skewer the rooks, then they trade, and we can either take here or here, electing for neither. Now we've got this backward c pawn. Let's see, this rook. Is rook b8 check annoying? Guess not. This honestly looks pretty even. Okay, well, connected past pawns. I think white's favored here now. After that pawn trade. That might not have been the best push for black, but both sides really low on the clock. Ooh, that drops e5, but then I guess, well, it just dropped e5. So that was smart, taking first, and then after the recapture, then taking on e5. There's a check here, but king over, and yeah, these pawns are too strong for white. There's checks all over the place, and these pawns are going to start rolling. And you're going to have to block with the bishop there. Or you could drop the bishop. Yeah, this is just lost for white. Let's look over. This is the board twos again. Very low time. Is there going to be a mate? Oh, man, I would have liked... I thought rook here would have been really sweet. Rook to h5. The idea is that the pawn is pinned. I guess they always had queen to g7. But maybe you would have won the pawn on g6. Queen g7, and you play bishop takes g6. Interesting. So, looks like this... Well, I think one last breath is just going to flag here. There's no increment, so he's got no chance. It's a 3-0 game. So, let's look at this. Was this the 3-0 game? Yeah. Chess Java won. Corley Lobby won. This is board ones. Did I miss the fourth board game? Which game was I just watching that whole time? Let's update this first off. Chess Jawa got a point. And Corley Lobby got a point. So that's 2 out of 4. You need 2.5 to secure the win. Yeah, if Sakai wins this, that's it. Or if he gets a draw. So what's going to happen here? Looks like Purdue's favored on this board. Oh man, this is a pretty common tactic in Benoni. Losing the exchange here, so Sakai fighting back. Yeah, Mikashima. I made it without increment because I didn't want the rounds to last too long because it's overtime. So I've had a lot of complaints about that actually. We might switch it up for next season. But yeah, that's definitely, something I made very clear I wasn't going to change for this season. Okay, so this taking advantage of the fact that the a-pawn is pinned. You could push to a5 here though. Well, so the tiebreak rules have been very clear since day one. And I'm sure before this, no one's ever played 5+2 time control. Probably. But anyways. Alright, so if rook here, we can take on a5. The question is if they want to trade rooks down. Alright, so black won a pawn with that sequence, and Sakai here's up an exchange. But down this outside pass pawn, I should really be looking up what happened in the board 4 match. It's Micro Bear and unknown chess variable. So they're trading off pawns here. Oh, Sakai has no time. Oh man, he's gonna flag. Gotta play here and here. Nah, there's no time. Sakai is gonna go down. It's just no time. Well, what just happened? What was the board 4 match? Let me try to look that up real fast. Here, let's look up. I think Micro Bear might have won this. Yeah, Micro Bear won. So I think that's gonna be it for. Wait, did they just tie it again? Finish Shaw won. No, no. I think it's 11-9. Is it? Wait. Does that seem right? I think UChicago just won. Yeah, 3-1. Well, yeah, Micro Bear won this game. We've got the board kind of messed up, unfortunately. But wonder if I saw this. No, he just had no time. He flagged. Wait. Oh. So yeah, he was lost on the board, and yeah, we saw this game. We saw that game. Okay, wow. Okay, so UChicago, big comeback win, I think. I mean, they were down going into the fourth round, and then they won the fourth round 3-1. This move I did not see. Okay, well, either team, no matter who moves on or gets defeated, I mean, both teams move on is a thing. So even though, this is a tight match, Purdue might have lost in the tie breaks. They live to fight another day. They will have their chance to come back and maybe face UChicago's B team again in the finals.